Well, Razorback fans, this was a question that was posed to me by one of you, considering some of the possibilities of this defense not being very good for Arkansas. Can they win in shootouts? Well, let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner, and visit FanDuel and on the app today and start planning your future bets right now. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Thursday as we are getting closer and closer and closer to Razorback football season. 16 days away, Taylen Burks days away for Arkansas. And I know we'll talk a little bit about the schedule and far as is Arkansas going to have more upsets or going to be upset more, as well as some of the transfers and Arkansas is going to be facing kind of a unique situation here this year. But as I mentioned, I wanted to get into the idea behind Arkansas getting into shootouts this season. Now, I don't really like shootouts. In theory, I think that it's fine when it's the teams that you don't really care about or not the teams that you're rooting for, but I can't handle the anxiety and the frustrations and the just overall vibes of going into every single game of the season, hoping and praying and wishing that it gets into a shootout because that's going to be your best chance to win. Hoping that your offense is continuing to click and fire on all cylinders because you know that your defense can't stop a nosebleed. That is a very traumatic, but also a very frustrating type of way to live. Now, it's not to say that it leads nothing but failure. It doesn't do that. It's possible that in shootouts, you could actually end up winning some games you shouldn't, which I know we'll talk about. But it's also perfectly possible that you go up against a team that maybe you should beat, theoretically, but you have an off day offensively, and that's all it takes. Or you have just one or two turnovers, weird, freakish plays that end up happening. Or in the worst case, you end up giving the ball back to the other team with too much time left. That sucks. I hate that. I mean, let's be honest. You as a Razorback fan, right now where it stands, it wouldn't matter the team. But if you took the lead and you gave the ball back to the other team, part of you would immediately feel like, okay, well, we're about to give up this lead. I mean, even the game last year against Tennessee, to which you won and you upset Tennessee, you scored and they let you score to take the lead. And they were still in decent field position on the final play of the game to possibly make a play. I remember Mississippi State of 2021. Arkansas took the lead and you felt like there was like less than a minute left. And they still were in a good position to kick a field goal to win it. So does that happen in shootouts or is that just for Arkansas? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. But my point is, there's nothing worse. There's not a more defeating, stressful time than knowing that you gave more time for the other team on the clock in order to respond because your defense is going to just absolutely fall apart. They're going to give up those big plays. They're going to make the wrong decisions. They maybe get too conservative. They maybe get too aggressive. But whatever it is, it just feels like that's just going to be the case. Arkansas is going to make the wrong decision. And again, that sucks. I really, truly hate that mentality. But let's be honest, folks. Where it stands right now for Arkansas football, for this upcoming season, I can't help but feel like this is setting up for a bend and not break defense, a type of team that you're just going to hope outscores the opponents through high-scoring offense because the defense is going to let you down, which is an unfortunate thing. I hope I'm not right about that. I hope that the defense is a lot better, a lot more improved. I'm just going off of what I've heard and what we've heard from the coaches, from everybody involved, that this might be the case this year. Now, the worst part about this, too, would be the teams you're facing. At least a vast majority of the teams that you are facing, they're going to be breaking in new quarterbacks. Some of them are very young quarterbacks. Some of them unproven quarterbacks. Some of them are transfer quarterbacks. Whatever the situation may be, you're going to be facing off against them. And it's all going to come down to a simple thing for this defense is pass rush. I think we brought that up the other day. And if you're not able to get after the quarterback, if you're not able to provide any pressure on the quarterback, then it doesn't matter if they're a true freshman quarterback. It doesn't matter if they're a skilled quarterback or a transfer quarterback, or it doesn't matter. If you give them time to throw the ball, they're going to throw the ball and they're going to make you pay for it. And so, truly, if Arkansas wants to avoid having to get into these shootouts, they're going to have some sort of pass rush. Plain and simple. It's what's going to come down to. But as time goes on, though, I am very confident, though, that this offense, assuming it stays healthy and assuming it stays all according to plan, I'm assuming that it's going to be an offense that's going to be potent, powerful, one that's going to score more points than what the team did a year ago, one that's going to be better in the red zone than what it was a year ago, better in the goal line situations than what it was a year ago, better with the overall scheme, the overall aggression, the overall camaraderie, all those things. I think at the end of this season, we are going to see this offense be a much more capable offense than what we saw in the previous year. And because of that fact, I'm going to go into every game until, of course, proven wrong, but I'm going to go into every game feeling confident enough about this offense to say, hey, I'm not saying we're going to win. I'm not saying the Arkansas Razorbacks are going to win. But I do have confidence that the offense is going to score points. Can't win if you can't score. And if Arkansas is able to score points, they're going to be at least in these games. May not win them all, but they're at least going to be in them. And so sometimes you're going to have some luck have to go your way. Sometimes you're going to have some of those weird, fluky turnovers go your way. Winning the turnover battle is everything, as we know. Last year when Arkansas won the turnover battle, they won the game. They were undefeated. Who would have guessed? But anytime that they were even tied or lost the turnover battle, they lost. Plain and simple. Okay? So you're going to have to count on some of those things to go your way. Doesn't feel like it ever does. But can you count on getting a random pick or a tip ball that ends up being intercepted? Can you count on maybe having somebody fumble there in crucial situations? Can you count on maybe some special teams magic on your end and trying to make plays? Because to me, that's also what's going to be key. And if these games get into shootouts, is who's going to make the mistakes? Who's going to make the least amount of mistakes? Those are the teams that more than likely will win. But I just don't really want to be in that position. But I have a fear that we're going to have to be in that position. I have a fear that as good as Travis Williams may be as a defensive coordinator or as much depth that they may have at certain positions, it's just the defense is a worry right now. It's a very, very big concern for me. I'm going to have to put all my eggs into the basket of Bobby Petrino and Taylen Green and this offense and Mike Washington, that they're going to be as good as advertised. We got to hear from Bobby Petrino yesterday and hearing his confidence level and hearing just his approach to it all and his approach to the offense. It's going to be rewarding. It's going to be successful. It's just a matter of, can it be that type of offense, that type of elite offense that is going to win you all these games? To be able to go out there and to be effective against everybody. because I don't care what anybody says. As much as I love Bobby Petrino, as much as I love his offense, there are going to be times, there are going to be teams they run into where the offense is not going to be as successful. I mean, sure, it could be all right enough to score 25 points a game, maybe even be counted on to score 28 points in SEC play against some of these teams. But there may be some of these teams that figure it out. There may be some of these teams that have, Taylen Green and a pretzel. And so it's just a matter of, can you overcome that? Maybe so. But if your confidence level is going to be in something, put it into the offense. And if you're someone like me that you don't want to be in a shootout, you don't like being in a shootout, you feel like it's uncomfortable being in a shootout, what do you do? I mean, what do you do? You can only play the cards you're dealt. And this season, right now, the cards that Arkansas has been dealt, you can't change it. You can't, put down a few more cards and get a few more back into it. This is the team you got. This is the team you're rolling with. And you're going to be facing some pretty successful offenses. But I think we're going to find out extremely early in this season just what this defense is going to be capable of. And if we are going to see this type of team be built upon, let's just try to outscore our opponent as much as possible offensively and deal with the defense, hoping our defense comes up with some random play. I hate it, but it seems to be the reality at this point. But speaking of some of the teams that Arkansas is going to be facing, it's kind of a split as far as what teams could upset Arkansas or what teams Arkansas could be upsetting. Well, let's talk about that coming up next here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans out there, August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. If you want to do something with the MVP, if you want to crown your own champion to win the Super Bowl, parlay your division winner dark horses, all of those things, you can do it right now with FanDuel. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Because Futures Day is one day and one day only. So it's FanDuel. Be sure to play your game. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Upset or to be upset is the name of the game for Razorback football this upcoming season. Now, I know that the games and the teams are going to change as time goes on. These aren't going to be the same teams that are ranked at the same level and the same capacity and the same way and the same light that it's going to be happening this season. There's a team that may be really good going into the year that by the time Arkansas plays them, they're not so good. Or the opposite. There's a team that is not very good or is not being considered by anybody as to be good. And then boom, you end up being good. But Arkansas's over-under wins is set at about 5.5, which is right. And essentially what that tells me is that there's about 6 games on this schedule that people, Vegas, feel like Arkansas is not going to win, or at least would be games that would be an upset. And there's 6 of them, maybe 5 or 6 of them, that Arkansas is going to be favored in. So let's kind of go through it, because I want to look at it from the perspective of, is Arkansas going to upset this team, or is Arkansas going to be upset? And which one there's going to be more? Because last year, to kind of bring it all in, last year, you upset Tennessee. There was no doubt that was a big upset for you. You upset a team. But Oklahoma State upset you, because Oklahoma State was horrible last year, one of the worst teams in Power 4, and they beat you last year. That was an upset. So it's kind of like the rest of them, you could make the argument of like, okay, Arkansas beat the teams they were supposed to and then lost to the teams that they were, quote, supposed to, but it balanced itself out. Will Arkansas have something similar to this year? Well, let's look at it. So Alabama A&M, winning that one with Arkansas State, I think you'll be favored in that one. The Ole Miss game you will not be favored in. The Memphis game, I think you will be favored in. Notre Dame, you will not be favored in. Tennessee, you will not be favored in. A&M, maybe, just maybe. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. You're not favored against A&M. I say you're favored against Auburn. You're favored against Mississippi State. But LSU, Texas, Missouri to end the year, you're not going to be favored in any of those. So you're talking about, essentially, the games that you will be favored in. If the season was to start right now, the games that you would be favored in: Alabama A&M, Arkansas State, Memphis, Auburn, Mississippi State. Boom. 5. And that's where that 5.5 comes from. And then you put this other 7. Those are the ones. And you can even maybe make the A&M game be a push, maybe have it a even odds, something like that. And then kind of the rest of it falls into place. So it's a matter of those teams that you're favored against. Are you going to be upset by one of them? Are you going to be upset by Memphis, Auburn, Mississippi State? It's very possible. It's very possible. In fact, as much as I hate to do it, I'd say the odds that you will lose one of those games. You're going to lose one of those games. But you got to be able to make up for it, at least with one game on the other side. It'd be cool if you could do it with 2. Because if you do that, then suddenly you have a much better year. But it's so simplistic to be able to look at it and just say, well, if you just win the games you're supposed to win and then lose the games you're supposed to lose, then it's a chalk. It's chalk. It's a chalk season. But that's just not the way it works. Like, Arkansas needs to be somebody that upsets somebody. You did it last year. And honestly, if it wasn't for that last year, we'd probably be looking at a completely different situation, completely different team, and completely different scenario for Arkansas and Sam Pittman and everybody if it wasn't for that Tennessee upset. So you're going to have to upset somebody. And what's unfortunate for Arkansas is that any of the teams that they're going to upset are all teams that are vastly better than them. Tennessee is I'd say this, Tennessee as well as Missouri, those are the 2 teams where I'm like, they're better than Arkansas, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they're just light years ahead and Arkansas has no chance. Ole Miss kind of the same way. Ole Miss is a mystery. I mean, I still think Lane Kiffin's a good coach. I think they're going to have a really good offense. I think there are going to be elements to them that are really good. But I don't see them as being just light years ahead of Arkansas at this point in time. Now, Notre Dame, yes. LSU, yes. Texas, yes. I think those teams are pretty light years ahead of you as far as talent goes and all of that. And the A&M game's just kind of the flex in there. So I'm breaking it all down and kind of really narrowing it down to what would be any sort of major upset. If you beat Ole Miss or Tennessee on the road or Missouri, I won't even mention Missouri because who knows what that season's end is going to look like. But if you beat Ole Miss or Tennessee on the road, that's an upset. It's a big upset. Is it as big as what you did against Tennessee last year? No, but it's an upset. But do you have the ability to beat a Notre Dame? Do you have the ability to beat an LSU on the road or a Texas on the road? Do you have the ability to do that? Like, that's the type, those are going to be the type of wins. And I'm going to put it to you this way, and this is the reason why I brought it up. Those are going to be the types of wins that if you pulled them off, it saves people's jobs. Like a single win like that. Obviously, if you go 1-11 with that one win, it doesn't change anything. But you know what I'm saying? If you beat Notre Dame or if you beat Texas on the road or if you beat LSU on the road, to me, those are the 3 games that keep your job, that stays everything status quo. Whether you like it or not, that's going to be the case. But even if you upset Ole Miss or Tennessee and you still go 6-6, I just don't think that that's good enough. I don't think that those are the real needle moving type of games, type of scenarios that's going to be game changing for all of you. I just don't see that. But still, it's about the balance. It's about making sure for a team like Arkansas, as cliche as it sounds, win the games you're supposed to, because if you do that, you're going to be fine. You're truly going to be fine, because I believe that Arkansas is going to be capable of winning 1, maybe even 2 games you're not supposed to. And if you do that, all is well. All is absolutely well. Kind of a sad topic I'm going to bring up next, but which former Razorback that's on a team you're going to be facing this season would be the worst and most heartbreaking player to make plays against you? Yeah, we'll get into that. Stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, as summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back into the routine that you love, and Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop to refresh your home. If you ever need any sort of thing, it could be something dealing with your bedding, it could be something dealing with your dressers, and or anything like that when it comes to linens, especially for a lot of the new college kids that are going to be moving in and have moved in and will continue to move in and everything. It's what it's all about with Wayfair. They have delivery that is fast and free, even if it's something big. And it's always so convenient because you can find everything and all in one place for everything that you could possibly need. And it's the perfect time to get your home ready, whether that's organizing, upgrading your workspace, or making weeknight dinners easier. They have it all. So get organized, get refreshed, and get back into a routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. This was a discussion I think we had that was really fascinating yesterday on Inside Arkansas Live about some of the players that Arkansas will be facing this season that are former players of theirs, transfers. Arkansas is going to be about half of the games, really. They're going to be facing off against a former player of some sort. And some of them may be more apt or more likely to play a lot more, but some of them are still going to be on the other roster. And so just for a couple of examples, you got, of course, the Ole Miss team where you have Jalen Braxton. I know Luke has, who's been dealing with injury. You got that, but you have Patrick Kudus over there. Brad Spence over at Texas. You have him. You have Jalen Catalon at Missouri. Yes, Jalen Catalon is still playing, and yes, he's at Missouri, and he's going to play you this year, assuming that he makes it to that point of the season, because I know he's dealt with a lot of injuries, but you're going to be facing off against him. Ty Washington at Notre Dame. You're going to be facing off against him. And how that may end up going. So point is that you have some teams that you will be facing this year that you're going to have a former player, former Razorback of some sort, going to be facing up against you. So I brought this up to say, of any of those players, which one would be the most heartbreaking for them to make the game-winning play against you? It would suck no matter what. But if it was a guy that was on your team previously to make the play, it would be pretty hurtful. Now, listen, any time of them, it could be the case. But to me, I think the one would be Ty Washington. That might be the worst one to have a time where, say, if he gets the game-winning catch in the end zone for a touchdown or like a 2-point conversion or something like that to win the game for Notre Dame over you, that one would be a tough pill to swallow. That'd be a tough thing to go through, and that'd be a tough thing to hear and to witness just because of all the circumstances and everything. But I think Jalen Braxton getting like a game-sealing interception would be pretty brutal, to be honest. Brad Spence, I don't really feel anything about that. It still sucked, but it's not going to be like, oh, man, that was terrible. It makes it even worse just because Brad Spence did it. I won't feel that way. And I feel like Jalen Catalon is so far removed from Arkansas after his 8th school that he's at or whatever it is. I don't really have that type of feeling towards him where if Jalen Catalon made a game-winning play, it would make it so exponentially worse. Wouldn't feel good, but it definitely wouldn't make it worse than anything. So either way, that's going to be something to watch for. It's going to be fascinating to see what some of these players and some of the performances have. But and I know, as Razorback fans, those players are going to have the games of their life against the Razorbacks. They won't do anything anytime anywhere else. But against Arkansas, they will have the games of their lives, and it will be the most frustrating thing for whatever reason. It's just the way it is. But either way, appreciate all of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep them going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. See you then.